That is fantastic. So good morning once again, dear ones, or good afternoon or good evening if you're someplace else. Great to see all of you today. My topic is, and I don't know if this is a word or not, but we're using it, so it is now. My topic is beneathness. So I'm really glad you're with me today as I share some ideas with you. So what I know is in this moment, where your feet are, and every moment of every day where your feet are, where you are standing or sitting, is holy ground. Because you are the beloved. You are the essence, expression, and experience of spirit. There is no place else where God could be where you are not. So wherever we are, whatever we're doing is holy ground. Course in Miracles reminds us that God himself would be incomplete without you. Whoa. That's pretty impressive. And consider that ground, that foundation where you are, includes everything. All of our joys and wonders and excitements and passions and delights from the past, as well as those experiences that were not so wonderful. They're all part of that foundation on which we stand or sit. All the really cool stuff, all of the heartbreaking stuff, all of the mundane stuff. It's all part of this foundation on which we stand. And I found this other expression, walking barefoot within ourselves. So allowing that on this foundation, all this stuff, using a purely spiritual term, is part of our experiences and is part of who we are. There we are. So what we're standing on is our foundation, and again, either of unconditional love and possibility, passion and wonder. And you might be thinking, okay, so Jerry's gone off the rails here because he's showing us a picture of a turtle on a beach. But there's a reason here. So this is from Honolulu Beach on the south end, or the south corner of the big island of Hawaii. Have you been? Some of us, been to Hawaii. It's just Hawaii in general. As you well know, it's just the most amazing experience. First time I went, my mother's like, okay, so, because she had never been, what's the big deal? And I said, well, I know, but it kind of looks like San Diego because there's ocean and palm trees and all the rest of that. And yet, it's just, those of you that have been, it's the most amazing experience. And if you haven't been, you need to go, and to the island of your choice. But it's just such an amazing experience. So the first time we went to the big island, we found this black sand beach, which is just extraordinary. And so I'm walking toward the beach, and there are these lumps. And I thought, oh, there's rocks, big rocks on the beach. And then one of them moved. And it turns out it was one of the turtles that just came to hang out, work on his tan, and then go back in the water. Just amazing, just extraordinary. But this is black sand. And consider how this happened. Created by lava coming out of a volcano. A volcanic eruption blew the lava into the air. It landed in the ocean and exploded and became sand. And of course, that's what built the Hawaiian Islands, is these volcanoes and these volcanic eruptions. think about in our lives when there's been not a literal, but a figurative volcanic eruption. Because y'all have had, I bet we've all had one or two or 17, and it explodes. And at some point, it comes back down again and hits the water, which is the loving, nurturing presence of Spirit, and explodes into this soft, if you've ever been there, you know the black sand is so, it's not what you expect. It's so soft and so wonderful. And that becomes our foundation, allowing ourselves to remember where we came from and remember that this foundation now is the remembrance of this loving, nurturing presence that was and is and always will be with us, because that's the essence of who we are. Pretty amazing. Or maybe you're so as you think about your foundation, and maybe it's this, and if this resonates for you, that's great. Maybe it's really cool grass. No Bermuda grass, no crabgrass, really. And I grew up in Escondido, and our neighbors had this small piece of grass in the front yard, and I don't know what it was, but it was these great big fat blades of grass that was so soft and so cooling and so soothing when you walked across it. It was just the greatest thing. But whatever resonates for you, this foundation on which we exist and stroll every moment of every day. But it could also be, if you think of this area of ground, could also be covered with little broken glass and little pieces of rock and gravel and all the rest of that. So it's up to us to decide how we want to move forward in that foundation, and we'll talk more about that. Because every day, consider that we're planting seeds into that foundation. And if it's pliable and if it's soft, we can plant those seeds that will wind up becoming our experience. Or if it's hard and clay-filled, it's going to take more effort and longer to plant those seeds into that foundation. And we'll talk more about that. I'll come back to that. Okay. So included in this foundation, think about where we are right now. So everything we've done, every place we've been, all of our experiences, all of our beliefs, past and present, everything that's happened up till now, as well as what we believe about spirit and the universe, the divine, the infinite, God, whatever you choose to call it. But what do we believe about spirit? And do we recognize spirit as this loving, nurturing presence that always responds to us as we believe, that Jesus talked about in the New Testament? Or do we still have some old residue about the hateful, surly, cranky, white, straight God up on a cloud someplace? How important it is for us to check in. What do I really believe? And if it doesn't make sense for me anymore, can I change? Because I can I change what I believe about spirit into something that makes sense for me and move forward from there? I don't know about you, but I have monkey mind. I bet you have monkey mind. We all have monkey mind. And so because you can find absolutely everything on the internet, I looked it up to see. And, I got to say, let me just say this. Artificial intelligence, AI, is pretty amazing. Now, it didn't write my talk for me. It didn't it's not doing goofy things for me, but it's allowing me to look up and see, kind of Google on steroids. So what do we mean? Where did that come from? Where did monkey mind come from? It is a Buddhist term for a restless, unsettled, and distracted state of mind where thoughts jump from one subject to another like a monkey swinging between branches. So that's where, right? Yes, that's where that comes from. Now, when I first found this teaching, and it might have been true for you as well, when I first found this teaching, all of a sudden I'm thinking about what I'm thinking about. Because before, the monkey was just doing what it was doing and stopping for a banana or a coconut and then continuing to do what it did. But now I'm aware of what I'm thinking about. And I'm terrified. Because I had that thought, that means it's going to manifest for me. Well, no. It's, as we know now, it's the patterns. It's the patterns of thought that become our experience. If we stay in that belief of, and I love to use this example because it's true for me, that experience of not enoughness. So, woke up this morning, didn't get enough sleep, didn't have enough coffee, don't have enough time, don't have enough money, don't have enough knowledge, don't have enough whatever it is. Because life has no choice but to give us what we're expecting, there won't be enough parking places when you go to Costco to just get a barbecued chicken. There won't be enough time to do this. There won't be enough money to do this. And it's not because we're being punished for it. It's that those are the seeds that we planted. But if we recognize that and choose to know that there is enough, I have enough, I am enough, then that becomes our experience as well. Neville Goddard, one of the early New Thought writers, talked a lot about patterns of thought. And he wrote, appearances confirm our former habitual patterns of thought. That which you imagine yourself to be today will project itself in your world tomorrow. Persistence in assuming that you are the person you wish to be, despite your present circumstances, is the only condition imposed upon you to embody that ideal. If you've not read any of his writing or haven't in a while, The Neville Reader is one of his books, and he writes a lot about the feeling nature and how important it is for us to do our affirmative prayer, our spiritual mind treatment, but then also feel how it's going to feel when that manifests for us. When we're in that new job, when we're in that new relationship, when we're in that new whatever it is, or when we're out of whatever it is that we're choosing to lovingly release. How will we feel, and then bring that feeling nature into it? So under the surface, under the foundation, is what we might call the beneathness, or Ernest Holmes talks about it as the subconscious mind. So we have the foundation, we're planting the seeds, and then whatever it is to manifest for us. Because every moment of every day, we're planting seeds, consciously and unconsciously. And so the opportunity for us is to be aware of, do I really want to experience that? And keeping in mind that with monkey mind, oh, that was an interesting thought. Let it go. No, there's no judgment here that, for the love of God, Jerry, why do you keep having that thought? No, just lovingly release. Tain't so. You might have heard me talk about my affirmation. Tain't so. Just let that thought just keep going and move on. So what do we think about each day? What seeds are we planting? So often the seeds that we're planting are thoughts that we have and beliefs that we have that we might have carried with us from childhood or before about money, about deservedness, about relationships, all of those things that we just assumed. And you remember, Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz talks about domestication and what we're taught related to life. And it was our parents or grandparents or ministers or whoever, and whoever it was, we believed them. And so we accepted that as our truth. And it shows up in our lives for years and decades and centuries, unless and until we say, I don't have to do this anymore. And we allow that to be a new possibility. So, and this is a shameless advertisement, and Reverend Suzette mentioned this, I think, last week. Anson, the affiliated New Thought Network, we do a retreat every year at Unity Village. It's the first full week of October of next year, and I will remind you of it often and frequently because it is the most amazing experience, and I'll never tell you what you should do, but you should plan to come to this. It's just the most amazing experience. We have wonderful keynote speakers and wonderful musicians and workshops, and so I was going to be doing a workshop, and the workshop before mine was on forgiveness. And speaking of Hawaii, I didn't remember the connection until just now. Remember Ho'oponopono, that Hawaiian, and I'm not pronouncing that correctly, and it's okay, but it's that Hawaiian experience of, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And I've been having this situation in my life with a family member for about 4 years. And I've been doing my prayer work, and I love it as a minister or practitioner. And I would suggest that if you've been in this teaching for more than about 3 months, you're a practitioner, even if you don't have the certificate on the wall. I love it when we get to buy what we're selling, right? So I've been working with this, and I've been working with this, and I've been working with this, and I've been working with this. And my workshop is in this same room, so I'm going to go ahead and go to this one before and just hang out and wait for my workshop. Whoa. We are always where we need to be when we need to be there. And what I got was my part in this experience. Because it does take two. Somebody said it takes two to tango. And the truth is, at some level, we had some part in whatever that is. And it will just stay there unless and until we maybe open our hearts and say, wow, so I enabled this, I allowed this, I encouraged this. So I kind of came back from Kansas City, which is where Unity Village is, with this amazing wisdom about my part in this experience. So came to church last Sunday. If you were with us for Daniel Nahmad, you know it was just an amazing experience, as it always is with him. Driving home, and for some reason, the monkey, I guess when I had the door open to get into the car, the monkey jumped back in again. So I'm driving home because I'm going to see this family member later on in the afternoon, and the monkey, and I start doing, I've been dealing with this for so long. I'm just sick and tired of it. What is going on here? And the still small voice said, yes, but you said, and so it is. Why are you still fighting with this? Why are you not allowing this? So to make a long story even longer, I said, okay, and went home and saw my family member later in the afternoon, and the situation is resolved. Yep, 4 years. 4 years. Yep. Yet another example of how this teaching works when we allow it to. So in our affirmative prayer, our spiritual mind treatment, we say, and so it is. Or do we say, and so it is? And then what happens? How much power do we put in that last statement? How much power do I put in that last statement? Do I state what I want to release, and then work on a plan B and a plan C? Or do I absolutely know and feel and accept and insist and demand that whatever it is going to manifest for me? Because if I've planted those seeds in the beneathness, but I'm digging them up to check to see why they're not growing because I'm not seeing any response. Guys, what are you doing down there? When I was young, we planted a garden at the house where I grew up in Escondido, and my parents' house. And well, they've been in there. The seeds have been in there for 24 hours. There's nothing. What's going? You know, guys, hello. But it takes time, not because God has a big project, not because you're on the list, you're on the waiting list, and he will get to it at some point, but because of what I believe about whatever it is. What do I believe about the difficulty, and I'll talk about this in a minute, of whatever that is? And so it is. Our words have amazing power. They really do. And words, whether verbalized or written or spoken, because if we just look at our lives and see, because there's a whole lot of stuff tied to this experience that I had with my family member, and you may have things to do this afternoon, so I won't go into all of the gory details. But the point is, there's all that stuff that created this experience. And I was going to make a point with that, and it'll come back to me. No, I absolutely refuse. Too much on my mind, has nothing to do with my age. So what do we do after the and so it is? I have another quote for you. I wonder what it is. Sometimes we say, well, I can manifest a parking place. That's not a thing. You know, I don't know about you, but when we first started in core, we called it Core 1, but first year religious science classes, the manifestation that you did was on parking places. Tuesday afternoon, 2 o'clock at Costco. That's not a thing. I can do that. What about Costco Friday afternoon? No, Costco Saturday at lunchtime, right? Yes. Now that's a big deal. And now how about Costco 2 days before Christmas at 5 o'clock? But there's no order of difficulty in miracles except what we assign. God is not up there saying, well, I can do parking places with no problem, but if you need one on December 23rd, you may have to wait a while. God is not saying that. God is not saying, yeah, I can give you another $20 this week if you need it, but if you need more than that, or if you want to change your experience of money, that's going to take longer. No, it's up to us. We're the ones assigning the order of difficulty. So it's up to us to look at what we believe about it and change what needs to be changed. So I do my spiritual mind treatment, my affirmative prayer. I say, and so it is. And then what? And it's not a parking place. So it's resolving a situation with a relationship. It's finding a new job. It's finding a new relationship. It's healing something that needs to be healed. And so there may be a gap between the moment we say, and so it is, and that manifesting for us? What do we do in those quiet times when the monkey gets to jump in the car and say, that's really nice, but you're too old, you're too young, you are not enough, you don't have enough, you're not whatever, or you're too whatever, and all the reasons why that couldn't possibly happen for us. If you've ever been to, I don't know, I'm on a travel theme today for some reason. If you've ever been to London, you know. Anybody been to London, England? Not London, Kentucky. Oh, good. All right. So the majority of you. Yeah. All right. Yeah, pretty much. If you've ever ridden the Underground, which is also called the T, you know that it's pretty amazing. And of course, I would say that all subways are pretty amazing because it's this tube full of people that is shooting through this hole in the ground, moving probably millions of people every single day. And so there's the car and then the platform, and between the car and the platform there's a little space or a gap. And so pretty much everywhere and on the loudspeaker everywhere you hear, mind the gap. Mind the gap. And of course what that means is don't put your foot in there because you're liable to lose it. Mind the gap. So my question for us is, in this beneathness, do we allow ourselves to be aware of our thoughts and fears and nonsense between the time we say, and so it is, and the time that we receive whatever it is that we asked for? Do we allow ourselves to be consciously aware of what we're thinking about? Because if not, we're going in and pulling up the seeds that we already planted. So the opportunity for us is to be aware of that. Mind the gap. Sometimes we slip into yes, but. Did you ever do yes, but? Yeah, I know I did that, and yeah, it's fine, and yeah, I know this teaching works, and yeah, all the rest of that. Yes, but you already said, and so it is. We already accepted this. Don't need to go back and do it again. That's the affirmation so often that I do with myself is, yes, but, well, my yes, but is, yes, but I don't need to think about this because the universe has got this. How important it is for us to be aware of the power that our words have when we say, and so it is. So we say that with conviction, with passion, with absolute knowing that we speak our word and something happens for us. So we say, we do our treatment work. We say, and so it is. And it hasn't happened in 20 minutes. And it hasn't manifested this afternoon. And it hasn't manifested yet. And for the love of God, no pun intended, what's going on with this? And admittedly, over 4 years, I had some of this. But I get to ask, and quoting my friend Edwin Gaines, what must I change about myself in order to receive this? What do I believe about this situation? And that's one of the things that I got in this workshop about forgiveness, was my belief in it, my part in it. What belief do I need to change to allow? Because that's all we're ever doing. That's all we're ever doing. We're not talking God into doing anything. We're just allowing life to do what we've directed life to do, to allow that to happen for us. Exactly. Yeah, thank you. Quoting T.J. Moss. Yeah, do. Yes, thank you. Sometimes we think, well, there's been no change. There's been no movement. This has not manifested yet. Are you listening? Is anything going on? I mean, I did my work. I did my part of it. What's going on? But what we know and what we must know is when we speak our word and say, and so it is, something happens. Something is shifting. So we do our work and allow Spirit to do Spirit's work and manifest whatever that is. I love this next slide from Facebook. We love Facebook. And don't think the garden loses its ecstasy in winter. It's quiet, but the roots are down there riotous. So in the beneathness, it is riotous. In the beneathness, the universe is creating that most amazing opportunity for us. In the beneathness, we allow ourselves to say, I absolutely know that I've done my part, and I'll allow life to do life's part and bring me this situation and better than I could have possibly imagined. And not allow the appearance, because it looks like there's nothing going on, but it's down there riotous. I love the concept of that. It's down there happening for us. And if it's not happening as fast as I want it to, what do I believe about this? And what do I need to change? Because it's my part, not Spirit's part. So no matter what that foundation is today, we can change it. We can go from the broken glass and the pea gravel and the rocks to the black sand beach or the cooling grass or whatever, and move forward with that as our foundation. Not releasing what happened, but releasing the judgment of it and the fear of it and the pain around it. Recognizing that everything we've been through has brought us to this point. Because, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I don't stop and build a condo. We keep the wisdom, we keep the love, we keep the remembrance that we never walk alone, and keep moving in this beneathness. So I have one more quote for you. This is a little long, but I absolutely love this. This is from the book How to Find God in Everything by Amoda Mae Javine. And she writes, beyond appearances, beyond what comes and goes, is the you that does not change. The you that is neither this nor that, but simply is. You cannot find this part of you by looking into the future or dwelling in the past, because time is an illusion that takes you away from the reality of now. The truth of who you are can only be found in the absolute presence and lusciousness, my words, not hers, lusciousness of this moment. In this moment, you are whole. There's nothing that can be added or taken away. And in this moment, you are holy. You are not separate from the sacredness of spirit. You are, in fact, a divine creation of unlimited potential. In this perfect moment, you are one with yourself, at one with life, and at one with God. For God is your essential nature, and mine, and everyone else's. So as we move forward in this consciousness of beneathness, recognize that what life does for us is always in this moment. And if the treatment work, if the affirmative prayer hasn't manifested yet, if we had a terrible situation, it doesn't matter, because this moment is new and fresh and full of possibility. And I want to close with this. I was in, we have forest fires, and they are heartbreaking. And one time we went up a couple of days after the fire, and you see the burned remains of the trees and of the grass and of the other vegetation. And yet, there's a poppy that's growing. Because as soon as the fire passes, nature, life, begins that new growth and that new possibility. It's, of course, it's the sunshine, it's the water from the fire, from the firemen, it's whatever it is, but it's also nature. In Volcanoes National Park in Hawaii, there's lava. This lava flow covered the road and the road is closed. And in the middle of the lava, there is this plant that just said, okay, as soon as it's cool enough, I'm going to start over. As soon as it's cool enough, we can start over. Come from this beneathness, from this power. So with that in mind, join me in the light for just a minute. So in the peace and the quiet of this moment, we give thanks for this glorious day in San Diego, for the opportunity to be together in this beloved spiritual community, to be reminded of the truth of our being, to be reminded that the power of our word, when we say, and so it is, something happens. So we allow, because that's all we're ever doing. We allow life, we allow spirit to bring us that most amazing life in every area, in our physical health, in our money, in our relationships, in our work, in whatever it is. And we release what doesn't serve us, recognizing that when we say, and so it is, something happens. So for this day, for this teaching, for this beloved community, for our time together, we give great thanks. And together we say with conviction, and so it is. Thanks, everybody.